You're listening to
Hope FM.
The Sound.
103. Connecting communities.
Wena mamedi wa ka re sa senyele nako ke kopa fela ka ofela ma grade 12 a sentse a tumela ka kwano bana tsatsile na la ka jeno re tla be sentse re shebana le English paper 2 tsatsile na la ka jeno tsa be sentse re tsamaisana le Meniere Nthebe ya hlang sekolong sane sa pele ya pela wena mamedi wa ka wa tshebeletso mantla tsatsile na la ka jeno re tlo sheba buka ena ya My Children My Africa re sentse hlenne ke mo fe tsona dithapo hore a hlenne a kene tabeng tatwa ka dumela
hamnati abdwa
o phetse tatwa
I hamnati wena
ya lena ke phetse ntate
Okay.
classic ka nne ya qala ntate
hi kale and then how setse boma
10 minutes re tlang ka dipotso
okay
dipotso ka di romela mane ho 0728390427 0728390427 ke mo ka romelang dipotso teng
okay thanks good morning my dear students. I'm back again with a big bang. This is for the last time we touch display My Children, My Africa. And then beyond display, we are going to tackle three short stories, but I will name them before the end of this presentation. Last time we met, I did not touch another important literary term, namely hyperbole, sometimes known as exaggeration. In other words, you are exaggerating. Let's make a typical example. If all of you pass at the end of this year, I'm going to buy each one of you an aeroplane. There is no way in which I can afford that amount of money. Therefore, we call this one hyperbole or exaggeration. Please note it down. We did not tackle this one last time. And then, furthermore, we have got another one, personification. What is personification? If you give inanimate or non-living things human qualities or rather characteristics, we call this one personification. For instance, you have been looking for your cell phone to no avail, and then when you find it, you talk or address your cell phone as if it's a human being. In other words, you give it human characteristics or qualities. Maybe you will say, cell phone, where have you been? I've been looking all over the place for you. There is no way in which you can a cell phone can hear what you are saying. Therefore, we call this one personification. Please write it down. And then another, furthermore, we have got figurative as well as literal meaning. The examiners also like these two. By literal we mean, for instance, last time we talked about a necklace. The literal meaning of a necklace is an object which is worn around your neck. But figuratively, we said a tire pot with petrol and it is hung around your neck is a necklace. In other words, a tire here, we give it a figurative meaning, whereas a necklace is a literal meaning. Please add those four. Hyperbole, or if you don't want to say hyperbole, you might say exaggeration. And then the third one will be personification. Figurative can be compared with literal. Yeah, we are done with these literary terms. Now, last time I was pleased with your questions. They were very, very relevant. I got 3 questions, if I'm not mistaken. But due to time constraints, I couldn't expand on those 3 questions. The first one, the title of the debate. One of you, I'm not sure if he or she was from Sharpeville or not. One of you asked a question about the title of the debate. In your exam or a test, do not expect such questions, but you are relevant because our play kicks off with the debate. Now, why is the title of this debate significant? Mind you, Isabel and her teammates go into the township or a location. She's going to debate with Tammy. It goes without saying, majority of students in this debate will be black students. Now, the significance here lies in the fact that there were no judges or rather adjudicators. How was Isabel declared a winner? Majority rules. In other words, the audience is expected to put up their hands, and then votes were counted, only to find that majority of black students voted for Isabel, not Tammy. What does this symbolize or rather epitomize? It shows democracy in action. In other words, majority rules. Another one, gender equality. It does not matter whether you are a boy or a girl. If you are good at something, if you excel in something, no one will pull you down. And then another one, non-racialism, or rather no racism. In other words, black students at Tammy's alma mater or rather school were colorblind. They did not treat Isabel according to the color of her skin. I hope one of you who asked me this question will take this one into consideration. Now let us go ahead with another question, but this one is linked to the title of the debate, because the question said who was the winner of the debate, where everybody knows this title goes to Isabel. And then tone again. Someone asked me about a tone. Many or rather scores or multitudes of question papers like these questions. Tone. This one has got to do with moods. Please, having been asked the tone of a certain character, you must be in a position to elaborate or rather substantiate. Don't simply say someone was angry without elaborating. Give us an example. Another one which is linked or rather tied to this one, the director. You must put yourself in the shoes of the director. In which way? The question will say, if you were the director, what will you say maybe Isabel or Tammy must do when doing something? In other words, you are now you are doing the function of a director. How to direct your characters on stage. Please, you are given good marks if you can use your imagination, guys. These were questions which were posed last time when we met. I was trying to put the finishing touches on them. Let us proceed here, guys. Everybody knows that Mr. M and Tammy do not see eye to eye. In other words, they are at loggerheads. There is no love lost between the two. But things were not like this before. There was peace between the two. What is it that leads to a quarrel or a dispute? Mr. M builds a formidable dream team of Tammy and Isabel. Unfortunately, Tammy decides to abandon his studies. The reason? School boycotts. What are school boycotts? Students were no longer attending school. They were defying or rather resisting or opposing apartheid system. Now comes Isabel, who plays the role of a mediator. In other words, he tries to bring peace between the two warring parties, namely Mr. M and Tammy. Therefore, if you try to bring peace between two warring parties, you are a mediator. But unlike the courts are arbitrary in nature. In other words, you are expected to give both sides of the story, and they will give a final judgment or rather verdict. In other words, the court has the power to say this one is guilty, this one is not guilty. Guys, the only way to enjoy this play, all of them, My Children, My Africa, Sarafina, including Sophia Town, please put your shoes in the hands of the characters. That is the only way you will understand this. Take a leaf from your characters' books, emulate or rather mimic them. This is the only way you will understand and share their feelings. In other words, examiners are expecting your understanding, empathize with your characters. For instance, who is your favorite character? Is it Tammy, Isabel, or both, or will you go for Mr. M? And then if you say Tammy or Isabel or all of them, elaborate, give us reasons why. Don't simply say I empathize with Tammy without substantiation or rather elaboration. You can make an I know majority of you like to watch soapies at home. There is a favorite actor or actresses in one of those soapies. In the same vein, or rather in the same breath, we expect you to have your favorite character as well as the one whom you do not favor at all. But as long as you can give us a reason, contextualize your answer, say something from the play or drama if you elaborate. Moreover, note the topic of the debate. This one has been raging for many centuries. In other words, globally, it's not only a South African issue. A long time ago, women were denied the right to equal education. In other words, girls were expected to stay home. On the other hand, boys were expected to go to school. This was unbecoming. This one did not go or bode well for the future. Girls and women were also denied the right to vote. In other words, they were disenfranchised. Furthermore, they were denied the right, women were denied the right to own property. And then in the workplace, there was no equal pay for equal work. All these battles were fought by girls and women. Today the world is today the world is much better than before. The bottom line here is gender equal. We are striving for gender equality. That's why the title of this play is crucial, or rather pivotal. Yesterday, your country, your beautiful country, commemorated Freedom Day, 27 April 2020. Guys, take note of this one. It's not a coincidence. The question is, when you put yourself in the shoes of Tammy, will you abandon your studies with a promise of a scholarship and join the protest and become a freedom fighter? This is $1 million question. We have seen how Tammy decided to join the liberation movement, knowing full well that if he is caught, he may be tortured, he may be killed, he may be thrown into crocodile-infested river, his family may be harassed. In other words, it was not a walk in the park to become a freedom fighter. It was not a bed of roses to become a freedom fighter. Therefore, we shall say Tammy was brave, or rather, gallant. Tammy was a sacrificial lamb. In the same breath, if there were no Tammys of this world, the Bikos, the Hanis, the Sobukwe's, we will not be enjoying Freedom Day. We will not be commemorating or rather enjoying Freedom Day. The bottom line is these freedom fighters died on our behalf, just like Jesus Christ, who died for Christians. In other words, he was crucified on behalf of Christians. This one, you please try to link or rather tie this one to Christianity. Let us move on. In the same breath, you cannot, all glory cannot go to Tammy alone. Mr. M was also a freedom fighter, but educationally, he did not take up stones to fight the apartheid system. He thought it was wise to fight the apartheid system peacefully, non-violently, with education. The first day I met you, I tried to highlight the importance of other freedom fighters. Your country was not liberated by those who were carrying AK-47 machine guns. I repeat, your country was not liberated by only those who were carrying AK-47 machine guns. Other freedom fighters or comrades or political activists, they were fighting apartheid system musically, with words, with plays, with short stories, novels, etc. Let's make a typical example. When we talk about plays, who can forget the famous one written by Ngema, Sarafina? You can talk about another one, Sophia Town. Who can forget about those who were fighting apartheid musically? I touched this one last time. The Makebas of this world, the Masikelas, Chico Twala. Do you still remember Manelo, Where Are You by Chico Twala? He did not want to say Manelo. For Manelo, he wanted to say Mandela, Where Are You? But if he had titled his song Mandela, Where Are You?, that song would have been banned. We have got novelists, we have got religious leaders, e.g. Bishop Tutu, Alan Busak, you name them, the list goes on. The bottom line is everyone was fighting against apartheid, but in different platforms, in different ways. It does not mean if you were a freedom fighter, you should carry a machine gun. Guys, don't forget that one is crucial. Let us proceed here. Let us proceed. Is the play My Children, My Africa still relevant today? This is $1 million question. I will say yes. My Children, My Africa is still relevant today. Why am I saying this? One of you asked me about a film last time we met. I touched few films due to time constraints. I couldn't touch all of them. This is the right time to elaborate on these different films. There is a theme of communication or negotiation versus violence. If you have got your books, you may turn to page 34 to 35. But be careful. I indicated earlier that your play is multi-themed. It does not mean that only these few themes are the only ones. There are minor themes besides these ones from page 34 and 35. Now, in your test or exam, you don't have to give us a general theme. You will be given an article. The onus lies upon you to give the examiner a possible theme from the extract given on your question paper. Don't randomly dish out themes. Themes should be article extract based. In other words, an extract which have been given in your question paper is the one which will determine which theme to give the examiner. I repeat this one here: communication or negotiation versus violence. This one is still relevant today because in our locations or our townships, when the community is angry or livid with poor service delivery, they will always resort to violence, not negotiations. Now, this theme is also irrelevant. Now, the question is, will you go for negotiations or violence? We have seen that Mr. M goes for communication or negotiations, in contrast to Tammy, who goes for violence. What about generation gap? This one is clearly visible between Tammy and Mr. M. They do not see eye to eye. There is a simmering tension between them. And Isabel comes in as the mediator. Why? We talk about generational gap or a generational clash or a disputes. Even now, in our everyday lives, there will always be a conflict or a dispute between adults and youth. They do not see the world in the same way. Adults have got their own viewpoint. On the other hand, youth has got their own. This one will never come to an end. Another theme is one of unjust social justice. When we touch this one, I've already made an example of our communities resorting to violence whenever they feel that the government or the municipality does not deliver basic services to their communities. Now, in this situation, the community will sometimes resort to mob justice. We have seen how Mr. M was barbarically or heinously or atrociously killed by his students. If people take the law into their own hands, we call this one mob justice or street justice or jungle justice. Jungle has to do with the forest. You know, in the forest, it's survival of the fittest, no negotiations. You may even call this one kangaroo court. Now, $1 million question is, shouldn't people take the law into their own hands? This one is debatable. Another one, the meaning of a useful life, the loss of human potential. Mr. M laments or decries or bemoans the loss of human potential. He sees violence as a sort of madness, as a lunacy. He does not favor mob. He does not favor violence. Instead, he goes for negotiations or communication, or even a dialogue for that matter. Now, when Tammy abandons his studies to join school by course, Mr. M's dream is shattered, just like Isabel's one. Now, he sees the loss of human potential versus violence. Now, guys, wherever you are, you must debate this one. When not to sacrifice for your country, when to sacrifice for your country. Another possible theme could be Western culture versus African culture. We have clearly seen that Mr. M does not treat Tammy and Isabel on equal footing. When it comes to Tammy, Mr. M appears to be dictatorial or rather autocratic or rather despotic. But when it comes to Isabel, it's not the same. Mr. M is more accommodating. He wants to hear Isabel's opinion. He does not impose his decisions on Isabel. But for Tammy, the tables turn, the tide turns drastically. Mr. M imposes his views on Tammy. Hence, Isabel confronts Mr. M, saying that he is a dictator. Let us go on again with possible themes, because I've said your play is multi-themed. Even today, we are still talking about gender-based violence. Do you still remember 16 days of activism against women and girls abuse? It's one of the possible theme of this play. In other words, it's linked to or rather tied to gender equality or rather parity. We have already touched negotiations versus violence. What about education? Educational inequality. Why did Isabel win the debate? One of the question papers once asked this question. Mind you, Isabel hails from the suburb. She comes from a well-resourced school. What do we mean by a well-resourced school? A library is there well stocked with books. What about Tammy? If there is a library at Tammy's school, either it is empty or understocked. That's why Isabel won this debate. Even now, guys, there is educational inequality between white and black schools. Do you still remember how tertiary students abandoned their lecture rooms and went to the streets? The reason, under the hashtag fees must fall. In other words, they were trying to say universities, technicons, and colleges are excluding majority of black students whose parents don't have enough money to pay for their fees. Mark my words, guys. Education is a right. It's not a privilege. These students are trying to say every student should be given the opportunity to get a equal quality education. In other words, the education system should not cater for the privileged few. Who are the privileged few in our play? Isabel, obviously. Don't forget that one. Even today, our black schools are under resourced, just like during the apartheid era. Another theme: banning and destruction of schools, but this one is linked to negotiations versus violence. Even now, our schools are burned down, libraries, clinics. In other words, there is lawlessness and disorder, which Mr. M was lamenting or rather bemoaning about. What about another possible thing? Statues. To or not to keep statues. Another $1 million question. Some people say, no, leave them alone. Others say, no, dismantle, destroy these statues because they remind us about the horrible apartheid time. All these films are debatable, guys. In the exam, or rather, when you write your test, as long as you can give us a reason, as long as you can elaborate, you will be given marks. A student who asked me about possible films, I hopefully he or she is pleased or gratified because I've tried to extend these films. We are done with possible films. Let us proceed now. Guys, don't forget, last time when we met, I gave you a summary of your play, but deliberately or intentionally, I did not touch one or two things regarding towards the end of your play. We are nearly there. Maybe just a second. Oh, here we are. Mr. M, Isabel, and Tammy. Yes, here we are, guys. I told you how Mr. M was mercilessly killed. In which way? A tire is hung around his neck, and this tire is filled with petrol, and then it is, in other words, Mr. M was killed by a tire burning with petrol. We call this one a necklace. We call this one a necklace. But I did not ask you this question. Why is Mr. M necklaced? You cannot say Mr. M is an informer, spy, impimpi, collaborator, stooge, etc. without elaborating. He confesses to Tammy that he wrote a list of freedom fighters, including their addresses, and he sends this list to the police. That is why Mr. M is accused of being an informer or impimpi. Why am I touching this one? Do not make a grave mistake of saying this character or maybe Mr. M is a spy without giving us an example, without substantiating your accusation. Mr. M is accused of being an informer, or rather a sellout. The reason he gives the list of freedom of the names of freedom fighters to the police. That is why Mr. M is necklaced. During this time, we talked about school boycotts. What are school boycotts? Students were not expected to attend school during that particular time. These school boycotts were linked or rather tied to consumer boycotts. What do we mean by consumer boycotts? Black people, being the majority in this country, they have got a huge buying power. Therefore, if they don't go to town or city to buy essential goods, white businesses in those cities and towns will suffer. They will become bankrupt. We call this one consumer boycott. What about those people who were working, in other words, the working class? If they stayed away, this one was called a stay away. Now, how did freedom fighters fight the apartheid system? Because they did not have smart machine guns. They used petrol bombs, necklaces, stones, burning tires, etc. You have seen this one even in a new democratic dispensation, when people are fed up with poor service delivery. Our main roads will be blocked with boulders or rather large stones, and then tires will be bent so that there should be no movement in and out of the township. Let us go ahead here. The first victim of this necklace killing was a young girl by the name of Maggie Skosana in Duduza, Niger, in the Eastern, now known as Eastern falling, now known as sometimes it was known as it fell under East Rand. Yes. Let us proceed, guys. Let us proceed. We are nearing. It will be time. Brace yourself for hit me with those questions. I will be happy if they can come thick and fast.
072-839-0427 072-839-0427 ke mo ka romela dipotso teng. Ke kopa o romela dipotso ka mo ka WhatsApp ho 072-839-0427. o ntse mametsi yona fela Hope FM 103 connecting communities. Tsatsi lena la ka jeno re na le Mr. Nthebe ya hlankamane ka sekolong sa pele ya pele. Wena mamedi wa ka mo ile re shebane le English paper 2. Any questions you have? 072-839-0427.
Okay, guys, I'm ready for those questions. Next time when we meet, we'll be going for short stories, but namely, the first one will be A Chip of Glass Ruby, and the second one will be The Doll's House. These are two of my favorite short stories. I will give you another one when time goes on. Waiting for those questions. Hit me with those questions, guys.
072-839-0427. 072-839-0427. Or alternatively, you can call on 086-512-3578. It's exactly 12 minutes before we reach the hour 11 o'clock. On top of the hour 11 o'clock, Sianda Mogaba Daily will be giving us the news at 11 o'clock. Oh, okay. 072-839-0427. Any questions you have for Mr. Nthebe containing the English paper 2, you can send us through the questions, or you can call us on 068-512-3578. On Facebook, it's Hope FM Official. Twitter at Hope FM Official. 103 Connecting Communities.
Okay.
I can continue, sir.
Okay. Oh, I thought maybe they are the ones hitting me with questions.
No, not yet, sir.
Okay.
Don't have a question yet.
Hey guys, let's go to page 59. I'm the one who's going to hit you now. Page 59, extract. It's page 59. It's a conversation between Mr. M and Isabel concerning Tammy. Yes. I won't read this one to save time. Isabel, in conversation with Tammy. Let me wrap up this one. Isabel accuses Mr. M of being a dictator here, and then Mr. M says, I'm an old-fashioned traditionalist. Now, if I may ask, who is the teammate mentioned by Isabel in this dialogue or rather conversation? And then another one, is Mr. M justified in his belief that African children must just take orders from adults simply because respect for authority is deeply ingrained in African children? Give a reason for your answer. You may agree or disagree, but please elaborate, substantiate. Another question, how does Mr. M's attitude towards Isabel differ from his attitude towards Tammy? The teammate mentioned here is no one else but Tammy. For the second question, you may say yes or no, but substantiation, elaboration is what counts. You will be given 3 marks. What about the third question? How does Mr. M's attitude towards Isabel differ from his attitude towards Tammy? We touched this one under a theme of culture, where under not necessarily culture, under generational gap or a generational clash, where youth does not see the world in the same way adults do. Even now, there is still a conflict between adults and youth. They do not see the world in the same way. Mention one major theme evident in this extract. What about a major theme? We have touched this one. The generational gap or a generational clash. I still remember one of you asked me about this one last time, possible themes. Generational gap or clash, or you may even say conflict. Conflict emanate coming from what? the older generation does not see the world as the younger one. We call this one generational conflict or a clash or gap. Let us proceed here. Let us proceed. Now let's go to another extract, page 49. If you go to page 49, Tammy and Isabel in the classroom at Zolile High School. Tammy and Isabel in the classroom at Zolile High School. Hopefully we have found this page 49. Tammy, yes, that's the one. For nearly 2 years I have sat there being educated. Isabel, reading names kept in the wood of the desk. John, Bobby, Zola, Bonnie. Tammy, Bonisile. Isabel, where is your name? Tammy, you won't find it there. I don't want to leave any part of me in this classroom. Isabel, that sounds heavy, Tammy. It's been heavy. You have got no problems with it, eh? Isabel, with school? No, not really. Couple of teachers have tried their best to spoil it for me, but they haven't succeeded. I've had a pretty good time, in fact. I think I might even end up with the old cliche. You know, school years, best years, happiest years, whatever it is they say. Tammy, no, I won't be saying that. Isabel, that surprises me. Why? Yeah, come on. Wouldn't you be if I said, you're obviously clever. I will bet you sailed through your exams. Tammy, it's not as simple as just passing exams, Isabel. School doesn't mean the same to us that it does to you. Isabel, go on. Tammy, I used to like it, junior school. You should have seen me. I wanted to have school on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Yes, I did. Other boys wanted to kill me. I hated holidays. So what happened? Tammy, I changed. Isabel, yeah, I'm listening. Tammy, a shrug. That's all. I changed. Things changed. Everything changed. Questions, guys. This is an extract on page 49. Explain why the following statement is false. Isabel's worst time of her life was at school. Another question. If you were the stage director of this play, what will you tell Isabel to do in the stage direction given in lines 3 and 4? Reading names kept into the wood of the book. Give a reason for your answer. I warned you about this one.
It seems like we have one question here. It says, hey, if they ask about the theme, can you please give an answer for the example so that we can have a clear understanding of what we need to write?
Okay, here is one of them. Let's go to the first extract on page 59. On page 59. Mention one major theme evident in this extract. Mention one major theme mentioned in this extract. 1.1.7. The generation gap is a possible theme, or you might say generation gap or generation clash or conflict. Now you have given the theme. Now you must elaborate. Now the older people do not see the world the way the younger generation see it. Why? Mr. M wants his students to continue with education. He does not condone violence. He goes for non-violence. Mr. M goes for peace. On the other hand, Tammy, his student, thinks non-violence does not work. Tammy goes for violence. Tammy goes for Tammy goes for confrontation. That's a typical example of how to tackle a possible theme. In other words, Tammy and Mr. M do not see eye to eye as a result of generational clash or rather conflict. Is there another question?
No, we don't have another question. So we only have 2
Okay.
minutes. You can also wrap it up. Just
Okay,
as
okay. Let us proceed, guys. We have got a few minutes left. We were busy with extract 2. Extract 2. Here is a question again. Can you explain the difference and similarities in Tammy and Isabel's life? Mention only 2, but I will give you scores of them. Both of them are in the same grade. They treat each other as equals. Both of them are intelligent, and they are sort of bookworms. Tammy is uncertain about his future because he comes from a needy or indigent background, whereas Isabel knows what to do after school. Tammy comes from a poor or indigent family, whereas Isabel comes from a rich or affluent or opulent one. These are the major differences between the two characters. Do you think that Tammy makes a good decision by joining the protest? You may say yes or no, as long as you can elaborate. 3 marks will be given. Some students will say no, Tammy did not make a good decision. Another one will say no, Tammy made a good decision. But please substantiate or rather give a reason. No marks are given for yes or no only. Thanks very much, guys. Till next time.
Puo ya lapeng.
103.